Good morning. I'm Deborah, and I've been watching a lot of YouTubes today about the vinyl chloride and East Palestine, and many of the YouTubes are just not willing to tell the bad news. They don't want the doom and gloom. They don't want to even just read what's on the OSHA website or on the CDC website, which they're a little contradicting, but for the most part, it's about the same, except for the parts per million when you're measuring it in the air and whether you can smell it or not. I know that there are some people in East Palestine that have returned to their homes, and no one's giving them any information. So I decided that even though I haven't gotten my YouTube channel up, I'm going to do this video so that people have a somewhat understanding of some of the stuff that's going on, and so that you can do the things that you need to do, especially if you've returned home. I understand why people have not returned home. I think that if you're able to, the best situation, and I know a lot of people are telling you, oh, you know, you can go back home, it's safe, and it's not, but especially if you are using a hot water tank in your home, and nobody is giving anybody any information. So I decided that I'll be the bad guy. I'm the bad guy in my family when somebody needs to be blunt and give information that isn't happy. I'm not brusque or harsh, but I'll give you the information. So I went to the OSHA website, and then I went to cdc.gov. Now OSHA has .gov on theirs too. And I'll just read you what I found about vinyl chloride. On OSHA, they cover all kinds of chemicals. So having this type of information about vinyl chloride isn't because it's special. It's important because of what's going on now. And we use vinyl chloride for a whole lot of different things. Making plastics is one of them. Making PVC pipes is one of them. And you have the VC in PVC. So, and our shower curtains are made of it. You know, when you open up a shower curtain and you just smell inside the package, that's the odor that you should be looking for. So on the OSHA website, it's 1910.1017, and that's where you find all the information. It says employees that are not equipped to handle being exposed shall evacuate the area and not return until conditions are controlled by methods that are required in paragraph F. So in paragraph F says employee exposure to vinyl chloride shall be controlled to, at, or below the permissible exposure limit provided in paragraph C. So it continues to, just go round and round, but eventually you get the information. In paragraph C is no employee shall be exposed to vinyl chloride concentration greater than 1 part per million averaged over an 8-hour period. On another website, it states that 4 parts per million is what is the part per million that you will start smelling it. On the CDC website, it says 3,000 part per million is when you start smelling it, depending on the person. One of the things that needed to be said at the beginning is that children are lower to the ground. Vinyl chloride sinks. So children who are walking around next to you are getting a higher exposure because they're walking through it. And your face is up above them, and you're not getting the same dosage. Every child is an individual, just like every human being, and so all children will react differently to the exposure. It just depends on the child's ability to deal with it. It's not conscious, of course. So as we go through the information, we have in paragraph F, it says that the permissible exposure shall be dealt with. Part of paragraph C is that no employee shall be exposed to concentrations greater than 1 part per million. Part 2 of that states that 5 parts per million averaged over any period but not exceeding 15 minutes. Part G states that the employer must provide respiratory protection and provide the vapor cartridges, and that those cartridges must be replaced prior to expiration of the service of the cartridge at the end of the shift, in which the cartridge is first used, whichever comes first. So that means that if you start with a cartridge at the beginning of your shift, the cartridge has to be replaced at the end of the shift or sooner. In other words, the cartridges are not able to be used repeatedly. It goes on to say in paragraph K that if an employee is exposed, doctors should pay attention to detecting enlargement of the liver, spleen, kidneys, or dysfunction in the organs, or for abnormalities in the skin, connective tissues, and the pulmonary system. On the CDC website, it describes this more in detail, and I will put the information in picture form up on the screen. So that you can either take a picture of it, read it at your leisure, or try to read it as quickly as the pictures change. I'll leave enough time for the pictures to be seen so that you can get a screenshot of them and be able to read it for yourself. The hardest part that I see here is that when it was time to give the public information, nobody was willing to do it. The biggest problem I see right now for residents that are still there is that when the vinyl chloride is heated up, like in your hot water tank, it turns into something else. So when you hear stories about the officials going down into somebody's basement, whether they did it in multiple homes, one home, they were going down to measure the amount of the other substance, the phosphine gas that it turns into, to see if the measurements were above what they needed to be. But based on the lack of knowledge, the lack of information that they're putting out there, I'm not sure. I don't want to say this about our officials, but I'm not sure that they decided that things were okay. I don't know how they determined that. And the more you read on the CDC website and on the OSHA website, you can even go to Wikipedia if you want to find out some of this information, because, Wikipedia people put information from these other sources there. I have a hard time believing that all of this is the way it is. And that especially the federal government is just sitting back and saying, oh, we're not going to offer you any help, because this is a government thing. That's what they should be doing, is running in there and doing what needs to be done. The one thing that I found that was really disturbing is that on the OSHA website, it says that any employee that has been exposed to this must be monitored for a minimum of 30 years. 30 years is a long time if you're 12 years old. 30 years is a long time if you're 5 years old. 30 years is a lifetime if you're 50. God bless you, everyone. I hope that everyone is able to come through this in a healthy way. And I urge you to go to your doctors, get screenings on your internal organs so that you have a baseline for doctors to look at 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now. Watch out for fatty liver symptoms. Eat the things you need to eat. Look it up. It's real easy. Beta carotene and selenium and choline, and you're going to hate this, but dandelion helps with the liver in helping it clear. And eating oatmeal at night to help whatever toxins are in your body get picked up and taken out of your body. A good dose of oatmeal. And if you don't like the taste, it's okay. Add sugar, add butter, add whatever you need. Real butter, not margarine, but add whatever you need to the ingredients to make them palatable for you and your kids so that you can get them in there. Those are the things that you really need to fight this problem that is going to be, cross your fingers, not a problem, but more than likely a problem. God bless you, and I hope you all have the strength to go through this. Contact your lawyers now. There's just no way of getting around it. I love you all.